If you've ever shot an event or a wedding, you'll know the feeling of coming home with an SD card full of photos, realizing that you've got a long Lightroom session ahead of you. After all, time is money, and honestly speaking, editing event or wedding photos can be very time consuming and a little bit of a chore. So editing these big albums faster is what I've strived to achieve over the years, and everyone has their own methods of editing faster. I personally have used this little tool. It's called a Huion Key Dial Mini, and it's a tiny macro pad designed for digital drawing, but it actually works awesome if you have it set up for Lightroom. It helps me fly through and quickly make adjustments on the fly to my albums. And on the screen, I'll just show you sort of the way that I've got it set up. With all the little shortcuts that I've used. So just pause it if you want to get one and you want to try this out yourself. That's what I use. That's what I found works really well for me. And I use this in conjunction with a Logitech MX Master 3 mouse with more macros on the mouse itself. And look, honestly, this was a really, really great solution. But recently, I've actually been using something a little bit more advanced and high tech to edit my club photos, and I have been loving it. So, what if AI could just edit those photos for you and you'd have way more time to go out and enjoy life? Now, I hear a lot of you groaning already. Trust me, I hate the fact that society is slowly turning towards thinking that using AI for everything is seemingly the solution, instead of just, paying actual photographers to go and take photos. But in this video, I would like to discuss something a little different. I would like to discuss a piece of software called Imagen. So Imagen is an AI designed to edit your Lightroom photos. That's right, not take photos, not generate new photos out of thin air. All it does is it saves you having to manually edit your own images that you took yourself. But Matt, how can it edit photos for you? How does it know what you want? Well, I'll explain. And in this video, I'll also discuss how to use Imagen and the benefits that you can expect to receive from using it. But firstly, I'd like to thank Imagen for sponsoring this video. And in the description, there will be a link to download Imagen and get your first 1,500 edits for free. Now, yes, I was initially skeptical, but having used it for a bunch of albums, I am now using Imagen to edit all of my weekly nightclub and event photo albums, and it saves me so much time. And better yet, it actually delivers some awesome edits. And look, as a disclaimer, while I have been using Imagen to edit all of my nightclub photos, I still edit all of my personal work and content that you see on this YouTube channel myself using my own presets, as there is far less photos to go through and I do genuinely enjoy the process. Imagen has just helped me with the monotonous and large albums with several hundred photos in them, and I think that this is where this software really, really shines. With that said, I believe this software is really only going to be useful for photographers who shoot large volume albums for work. So wedding photographers, event photographers, maybe real estate photographers mostly. If you're just a hobbyist and you enjoy shooting for fun, editing photos yourself is, in my opinion, still the way to go, and it always will be. But let's discuss how this works first. So you download the program, and then you select your Lightroom catalog and you upload 3,000 images which have been edited with your own style. Now, at first, I thought this was going to be like a daunting process of having to search through exported images or something, and sort of pick out the ones that I want to use and stuff. But the Imagen software actually makes this entire process very, very streamlined and super easy. So you just point it to your current Lightroom catalog and you can easily check through all of your albums. Now, the best bit is that you don't even need to pick consistently edited images. So if you have some that are edited in one style and some that are edited in a different style, you've got flash photos, you've got natural light, whatever, the software is smart enough to determine what was taken where, and it uses these photos to develop your own editing profile to use for your edits. And look, if you don't have 3,000 images that you can just, use, you can always just import your own preset and have the software determine how to edit it. But with this method, you won't get as personalized a result as you would if you input your own images. So once you've uploaded the images, you wait until your profile is ready. It took around about, 12 hours for mine to be completed, at which point you'll get an email letting you know that it's good to go, and then you can use your new profile to edit photos. You can always make multiple different profiles as well if you want different edits. For me, I don't really shoot too many weddings, so this is sort of from the perspective of someone that does a lot of nightclub work. So my preset is just called clubs and events, but yeah, I think if I was doing weddings, I might do a slightly different, more sort of like filmic pastel kind of vibe versus the event one that I've got. But yeah, you can make as many different profiles as you want, and then you can obviously select them to edit the photos for you. So from this point on, you just import the album into Lightroom, so the same way you would normally do it. And then you open up the Imagen app, and you select the album that you want to edit, and then you hit upload. So the process to upload the photos and edit them takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how many photos obviously you're taking. I think if you've got an album with like thousands of photos, it might take half an hour to an hour. But I know for me, with an album with 200 to 500 photos, it takes around about 10 to 15 minutes. And you'll get an email when it's ready as well. So you don't have to, sit by the computer or do anything. It's all basically done for you. And then after it's done, you just come back and you download the photos back into your catalog, open Lightroom, and you enjoy your freshly edited photos. It's so seamless and easy to use. I am just shocked. Everything seems to just work basically, which I was really, really impressed. And I was a little bit skeptical going into this when Imagen reached out to me. I'd heard of this software. I wasn't sure if it would work as well as it does. I just didn't really see how it would be possible, but AI is always surprising and it's a little bit scary, but AI is one of those things which is, it's getting better every single day, and you've got to approach it in the way that are you sort of relinquishing all your control, or are you sort of using it to help you? And I think in the case of Imagen, at least, it's definitely, I find, helping me just to edit albums that in the past would have taken multiple hours to do. Now I can get them done in maybe half an hour, which is really, really good. And one of the biggest upsides of using Imagen is that the AI actually makes tiny changes to each image and tailors everything to look as good as possible. So before this, my process was basically I would apply my preset, and then I would sync the entire album, and then I would manually adjust everything photo by photo. This was tedious. It took really, really long. Even with my little macro pad and everything, it still takes fucking ages, especially if you had an album with thousands of images inside of it. I know the rare times that I've shot weddings, it's that's like a 5 or 6 hour procedure, to edit all those photos. So having something like Imagen, I think is amazing, because it allows you to get sort of the best possible results for the least possible amount of work, pretty much. So Imagen's AI basically analyzes each photo to understand exactly what parameters are needed, and each photo will have its parameters adjusted based on the needs of the photo and the chosen style. So this means that you'll actually have a lot more accuracy and consistency across a full gallery of images. That said, Imagen doesn't completely remove the editing process, as I still go through and I manually make sure that everything is to my high standards. And I also cull any shots that I don't want. Having AI take the legwork out of making sure that the colors and the tones are all spot on and the crops are all perfect is really something else though. And I actually really like the fact that I've got control over what images it's culling as well. And on the topic of culling, that feature is currently in beta and it will be rolling out properly at some point in the future. And it'll be cool to see if it's actually good at it or if I'll still want to manually pick my keepers. So another great benefit to the software is that once you're happy with the edits, you can re-upload them to Imagen and the software actually learns and improves your own profile. I think once you get to about 5,500 photos uploaded, you can sort of fine tune your profile even further. You can make it so that it just keeps learning and understanding the fine nuances. And I know when I first did it, the very first time, there were a few photos that were maybe a little bit overexposed, a couple where the white balance was maybe a little bit off, but after training it a few more times, nowadays it's pretty much bang on every time. And the crops themselves as well, sometimes it was maybe cropping a little bit too aggressively. Now it seems to crop as good as basically what I would normally do it, myself, which is fantastic. And this is all really, really easy to do as well in the app. And I love that it utilizes Lightroom itself and not some weird proprietary editor like other AI editing solutions on the market at the moment. So it really doesn't force you to relearn anything, because if you know how to use Lightroom, you know how to use Imagen. It's so easy to use. And that's kind of the best, I think, selling point for it. Now, let's talk about cost, because it is not a free program. It breaks down to be around about 5 cents per photo, but you can just pay for what you use. And this means that you aren't paying an unnecessary subscription service during your quiet periods. So again, this really makes the best sense for people who make money off their photography. You can usually just absorb that cost in the time saved from using the software. At least I could definitely justify it that way myself. There's also this really, really cool feature called talent profiles, which allow you to use the editing style of another professional photographer for your own edits. So say if you're getting into wedding photography, for example, and you want an advantage, you can always download an amazing talent profile and take a lot of the legwork out of getting amazing looking photos. And there is a bunch more cool features coming in the future, including a soft skin tool, a subject mask, and more. Also, compatibility with the entire Adobe Creative Suite, so not just Lightroom Classic, just got released. So that's Lightroom CC, Photoshop, and Bridge now support the Imagen software. I think it's important to discuss the growing trend of using AI for everything. So I've seen my fair share of people just copy and paste stuff from ChatGPT with 0 tweaks done to it, and it's the most cringe stuff I've ever seen in my life. I think that using AI blindly without actually adding any human touch to it is a terrible idea. And honestly, the biggest reason why I even agreed to make this video on Imagen is because I love just how much control you as the photographer still have for the final result. In all honesty, it's the best utilization of using AI to help improve your life rather than dominate it that I've ever seen. I mean, in the photography space at least. And if you're a photographer who routinely edits huge quantities of photos and just wish you could get it done faster and easier, I'd really recommend giving Imagen a go. With the 1500 free edits, it's more than enough for you to get the gist of the software and see if it can actually help you out. So what do you guys think? Would you try Imagen, or do you not shoot enough to make it worth it for you? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.